Who comes to your mind when you think of the best power forwards in the league? Giannis Antetokounmpo should obviously be at the top, and a few other notable names are Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, and Jason Tatum. But what if I told you there's one player that is consistently getting snubbed as one of the best power forwards in the league? If you haven't guessed already by the title and the thumbnail of this video, it's Domantas Sabonis. On this episode of Small Market Stars, we'll have a look at Domantas Sabonis' career and how he's become one of the most underrated players in the league. Today's highlighted player was recommended to me by Ivan Sitas, who left a comment in my Small Market Stars video revolving around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you want to watch that video, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner right now and in the bio. If you have a small market star you want to see me make into a video, don't hesitate to leave a comment just like Ivan did. I'll be sure to make it into a video. As for today's video, if you enjoy it, it would mean a lot if you would leave a like so that it reaches more new people who love basketball just as much as you do. Subscribe to get notified whenever I post any new videos, which is daily, and leave a comment letting me know what you think of the video and who I should have a look at next. Thanks as always, and now let's get started. Sabonis has been under a lot of people's radars for far too long. He is most known for being the son of famous Lithuanian Basketball Hall of Famer Arvydas Sabonis, but that's merely a fraction of where he gets his talents from. Sabonis has had to work very hard for himself and has blossomed from a rookie that was looking like a bust to a two-time All-Star. If you aren't familiar with the name Sabonis, you should be, because this guy is going to be in the league for a while and help teams compete. Sabonis spent 2 years at the University of Gonzaga, where he had some pretty good success. He had a good freshman season where he put up 9.7 points per game and 7.1 rebounds while helping Gonzaga into March Madness. Sabonis knew he had work to do, so he returned hungry and put in the work. He improved his numbers in his sophomore season, averaging 17.6 points and 11.8 rebounds. ESPN insider Jeff Goodman had this to say about Sabonis. "No one plays harder than Gonzaga's Domantas Sabonis. The sophomore forward is a walking double-double, which could earn him third-team All-American honors." Indeed, Jeff was right about Sabonis being named to All-American third team alongside stars like Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, and Jamal Murray. In the first round of the March Madness tournament, Gonzaga went up against Seton Hall, and despite Sabonis having a flu, he managed to put up some solid numbers, having 21 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists, leading to a 68-52 win for the Bulldogs. Sabonis would continue to help the Bulldogs all the way to the Sweet 16 before falling to Syracuse. In his most impressive game, he went up against the University of Utah, led by star forward Jakob Poeltl. Sabonis locked the future lottery pick up to just 5 points and 4 rebounds while outplaying him in every aspect. After a great second year at Gonzaga, Domantas Sabonis would declare for the draft. Domantas Sabonis was drafted with the 11th overall pick going to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Just like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in my previous video, Domantas Sabonis didn't do great in his rookie year, only averaging 5.9 points, 3.6 rebounds, and 1 assist while playing 20 minutes a game. He was drafted to the Oklahoma City Thunder just weeks before Kevin Durant left, and after Kevin Durant left, we got to see this man do whatever he wants. Russell Westbrook would have his MVP year right after Kevin Durant left for the Warriors, and this meant that Russell Westbrook had the keys to do everything. Sabonis, only being a rookie, wasn't heavily involved in the game plan and was only asked to sit in the corner and shoot. But after Russell Westbrook would win his MVP, the best case scenario would happen for Sabonis, and that was getting traded. As stated previously, Sabonis wasn't in a good position to develop and grow in OKC, and the organization was looking to win now, so long-term projects like Sabonis weren't on their radar. This led to the front office trading Sabonis and Victor Oladipo to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Paul George. At the time, this was actually viewed as a steal for the Thunder, but in hindsight not so much. Looking back on it now, I think most fans can agree that it was a pretty fair trade. OKC got to be competitive, and so did the Pacers, with Victor Oladipo stepping up and Sabonis developing nicely over the years. Sabonis has improved every season since going to the Pacers, working his way up from the 6th man to their #1 scoring option and rebounder. He has also developed his playmaking nicely, averaging 4 assists in a Pacer uniform. He was an All-Star in back-to-back years from 2019 to 2021, and just last year he averaged a career-high 20.3 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 6.7 assists, which is also a career high. His percentages were also fairly well for his position last year, averaging 53.5% from the field, 32.1% behind the arc, and 73.2% from the line. Sabonis has found a much bigger and fulfilling role on the Pacers, and it's clear that he can lead his team to becoming a lower-seeded playoff team. To get a better idea of how good Sabonis actually is, I think it's only right that we have a look at some of his best games from the previous season. On January 9th, 2021, Sabonis had a monster performance against the Phoenix Suns, putting up 28 points, 22 rebounds, and 4 assists. On January 17th, the Pacers went up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and Sabonis dropped a season-high 36 points in an amazing triple-double performance, accompanied by 16 rebounds and 10 assists, along with 3 steals and a block. On March 29th, the Pacers were facing off against the Washington Wizards, and Sabonis had 35 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. On May 3rd, Sabonis faced the Washington Wizards again and had yet another stellar performance, having 32 points, 19 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals. Although his season averages may not be eye-popping, there's plenty of evidence that suggests that Sabonis can take over games if need be. He can do a little bit of everything, which can't be said for many playing in the same position as him. In 62 games he played last year, he had less than 10 rebounds in only 14 of them. He scored less than 15 points in only 12 out of the 62 games, painting an amazing picture of how consistent he really is. His offensive game is very strong, but the same can't be said about his defense. But other than that, he's left his mark everywhere. Sabonis was 8th in total rebounds last year, besting competition like Giannis and Andre Drummond. He was 15th in assists, which is more than what Stephen Curry and LeBron were averaging. And he was 50th in points, which isn't bad at all. Sabonis was also, get this, 5th in total triple-doubles last year, which is only 1 less than Luka Doncic and 3 less than James Harden. What frustrates me and a lot of Pacer and Sabonis fans is that although he was 5th in total triple-doubles, the media rarely ever talked about him. Why was that? Well, maybe it's because of his semi-boring playstyle, or the fact that he's playing in such a small market organization that they never get any love. But that's a great transition into our next section. I'm sure most of you have heard about Domantas Sabonis being a good player, but not as much as an all-star, even though that's what he is. Like stated before, the Indiana Pacers are a very small market, and unfortunately, they don't have a good enough record for major coverage. Indianapolis ranks as the 25th biggest TV market in America. It also doesn't help that he's playing on the Pacers right now, as they aren't the most popular basketball team in the state. The most popular team is actually their state college team, the Indiana Hoosiers. College basketball has a much bigger scene in Indiana than pro basketball, as many prefer to watch the Hoosiers, Butler, Indiana State, Purdue, and Notre Dame. The Pacers are a good team in the East, but not good enough to compete for a championship. They haven't gotten out of the first round since 2014, and that's when they had Paul George. Sabonis' playstyle also isn't the most exciting. For a lot of basketball purists, they like him, but the media doesn't because he isn't flashy. Sabonis is a post player who is a tenacious rebounder but doesn't get very many highlights. He'll get a nice poster or game winner once in a while, but that's really it. Sabonis is a really hard worker who is an essential part of a good Indiana Pacer team. He's had to overcome the fact that many people refer to him as Arvydas Sabonis' son. He's earned the right to be called by his own name and not just his father's son. Although the Pacers may not be good right now, I think there's still plenty of opportunities for Sabonis to help teams push for title runs. Sabonis may not be the flashiest player, but he's really good, and I can see him being a consistent 2015 guy at night. His playstyle is more old school reminiscent of his father's, but if you love basketball, you have to appreciate how he plays. Sabonis does have some things he needs to improve on. The most obvious is the amount of attempts he takes farther away from the basket. Only 26.4% of Sabonis' shots came outside 10 feet from the basket, so he's timid to shoot from very far. It's not like he's not knocking them down either, because he's averaging 35% on shots between 10 to 16 feet, 48.7% on shots between 16 feet and the 3-point line, and 32.1% of the shots behind the arc. The next step in his game would be knocking down shots from the short corner, top of the key, and a step or two inside of the arc. He can hit them, and it'll open up the offense more in Indiana. He also needs to work on his defense, but Indiana finished 6th in defensive rating, so that isn't very important right now. He is coachable and shows that he can play within a system, which is good enough for today's NBA. Before we move on to the conclusion, I just wanted to remind you to leave a like on the video, because if you've made it this far, it means you're enjoying the video, so please leave a like. Subscribe to get notified whenever I post, so that you know when the best basketball content drops. Leave a comment letting me know what you think of the video and who I should have a look at next in this series. Now let's get on to the conclusion. Domantas Sabonis should be considered an all-star level player, and I could definitely see him returning to the all-star game in the future years. His rebounding and hustle attitude are indispensable, and he has shown how he can contribute to a playoff team. My only wish is that Indiana tries to pull off some big moves in order to have Sabonis' prime years put to full use, or we might see another case similar to Russell Westbrook's prime MVP years. I have no doubt in my mind Sabonis can continue to improve and become an all-star player on a championship contender. I only wish it happened sooner rather than later. For a player comparison I'd like to do in this series, I'd have to say Sabonis' ceiling is Kevin Love, a solid 25-12 guy who can pass if needed while being the second to third option on a championship team. His floor would have to be Greg Monroe because he was a solid player whose playstyle couldn't fit in the modern NBA. He was a good player, no doubt, but no team could really find a way for him to excel in their system. And that does it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit the like button. If you want to watch my previous episode where I have a look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Comment which player I should have a look at next and subscribe so that you know when that video comes out. And as always, until next time, cheers.